If a repair person comes to your office to fix the computer, is it okay if she sees everything on your hard drive? That's a question of operations security. It's the concept of thinking twice about protecting your information. Operations security, or OPSEC, is the process we use to manage information. It's an attitude we take to safeguard things of value. OPSEC is the need to identify, control, and protect evidence of sensitive activities from those outside of your organization. This includes your intentions, capabilities, or activities. Information that, if lost, could adversely affect your organization. OPSEC means reducing your risk by changing the way you do things. It's a constant state of awareness, marked with real changes in behavior. Think of it as street smarts. OPSEC is not about classified projects or trade secrets. These already have protections in place. So what is OPSEC? If you leave a light on at your house when you're away to make it look to an outsider that someone may be home, then you're already practicing OPSEC. You've determined that something is of value and you've taken steps to protect it and reduce your vulnerability. In industry, you protect the information that gives you a competitive edge. For example, groundbreaking research, formulas, equipment specs, sales forecasts, and corporate acquisition plans or mergers. In the military, this extends to tactical information, battle plans, troop movements, and capabilities. Think about the kind of information that must be protected to safeguard you, your organization, and its staff. It's not likely your organization could protect all of its information, even if it wanted to. Nearly all jobs involve some sort of information exchange. The information you need to do your job and the information you create when you do it. Just to identify all of the information that crosses your desk each day would be an enormous task. Protecting everything would reduce productivity and seriously impact effectiveness. But what kind of information do we need to protect? Management can assist you in determining the information that warrants protection. You can assume your competitor already knows a great deal about you. They'll likely have a good idea about how you go about your business, your strong points, and your weaknesses. Now, what pieces of information might give away too much and tip the scales in their favor? Here's an example. If a scientist makes a breakthrough discovery on the job, the scientist may want to reveal that in a journal article. But if the company wants to keep it under wraps until the discovery can be put into production, that journal article would pose a conflict. OPSEC is the need to examine what we do and how we do it in the light that someone might take advantage of our actions or habits. On a practical, everyday basis, it's a different way of seeing your job and yourself. It's looking at what you do from a new perspective, your adversary's perspective, observing yourself the way an adversary might. Who might be an adversary? How about your competition in the business world? A threat might be a competitor seeking proprietary information about your products. It could be a foreign government seeking some technological, economic, or military information. Terrorists seeking an edge on a future attack. Anyone outside of your organization who wants to know what you know, have what you have. Think about someone who might gain an advantage. Whether you're rolling out a new product or rolling up the beach in an invasion, if the element of surprise is lost, the result will hurt your campaign. Small bits of information, when put together, can indicate your intentions. So how do we protect this kind of information? Think about your circumstances and the way you behave. Resolve to be more aware of the world around you. Think about the things you tell observers with your behavior. Mix things up occasionally. Vary your routines. It's not something you do once and then you're done. OPSEC is a state of mind.
It's the protection of critical information that really counts. So you've got to assess the threat, you've got to determine what your critical information is, and then you have to design countermeasures so that that critical information is protected. And sometimes it's as simple as changing one pattern. And it can apply to macro situations like the Pacific Fleet. It can also apply to a person or an individual.
In your private life, you may place valuables in the trunk when you park your car. You know to keep an eye on your bags at the airport. Perhaps you ask someone to pick up your mail when you're out of town. OPSEC is applying the same attitude at work.
What's really the critical information? What are the crown jewels? What's the one piece of information that you don't want to get out?
There are 5 steps to the OPSEC process. Identify critical information, assess the threat, identify vulnerabilities, assess the risk, develop countermeasures. What's a countermeasure? Anything that reduces the adversary's ability to exploit information. Good countermeasures are the result of some creativity and a thorough risk analysis. It's a simple equation. Risk equals the level of your vulnerability times the level of threat times the potential impact on your operation. If your risk factors are low, you're okay. But if you have one or more high risk factors, then you really need to implement sound OPSEC measures immediately.
Who is the enemy? What are their capabilities? And assuming that they are trying to do harm in whatever way, what is it that we need to protect, and what can we do to make it more difficult for them to achieve their goals?
If you're a target, an adversary might be able to gain information about you even if you're being discreet. There are some simple but effective methods out there for listening in on cell phone conversations, picking up someone else's wireless internet communications, even tapping into the frequency of your cordless home phone or baby monitor. You may be assuming a reasonable level of privacy that may not be there.
Some software that's now available for cell phones is designed to allow someone to listen in to the cell phone user. We're now going to demo the part of the commercial application that's on my Target phone that allows me to listen in on my Target's phone calls.
Hello?
I think they should be behind us. Well, we're going to take the market by storm. We're going to roll this thing out, and it's going to surprise everybody. Yeah, I think so. It's going to be really exciting.
There's my text message telling me that my target is engaged in a phone call, and we'll be able to listen in on their conversation.
I think they should be behind us. Well, we're going to take the market by storm. We're going to roll this thing out, and it's going to surprise everybody. Keep it under your hat. Okay.
Well, that was some interesting information.
So, there we go. I listened to their phone call. They had no idea I was there.
Mobile devices use wireless technology, and wireless technology doesn't observe any property bounds. When you're using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or other wireless, others can intercept it, eavesdrop, potentially use that information to impersonate you later on. So I'm in a motel room, and I've previously installed a network protocol analyzer on my laptop. And in this example, as you see in the screen, we're looking at monitoring wireless communication that's occurring in the area. That communication could be occurring between your laptop and your corporate network, or between your mobile devices and your corporate network. So they could potentially monitor your every move or capture data at any time they want and then transmit it back to their location, wherever that may be. So they can basically spy on you.
There are people who want what you have. Don't make the mistake of underestimating just what they'll attempt to gain an advantage.
A cell phone used to be something that we just used to make a voice call. You can now get third-party software. I would classify that as a bugging application. Once it's put on a cell phone, it allows an attacker to call that cell phone. The phone will answer the call and go off hook. The target or victim won't have any indication that it's doing so, so the attacker can listen in. Some of that commercial software that I've been discussing is in the cell phone that my friends have outside. They're not aware of it. We'll give them a phone call now. And I'll throw this on speaker. And let's connect it up.
They just pulled me off the village train. But, I was a little surprised. Sunk so much money into it. Yeah, no, that's what we want, the competition, I think. We want to roll out this new project, goals for...
So there we are, listening in on them. I don't need to be in the next room. I could be anywhere in the world. The target or victim won't have any indication that it's doing so, so the attacker can listen in.
Even if your adversary can't hear your conversations or read the text of your email messages, you may be communicating important information with your actions. For example, if you celebrate at the same restaurant with your friends when certain milestones are met, you may be inadvertently informing others with your behavior. Other seemingly passive indicators also reveal information about you and your business. What did it mean when security at your building was dramatically increased? Why is an employee complaining about his new workload in his online weblog? How come the whole front office staff flew to Silicon Valley for a week? These can be indicators that something is going on that we don't want others to know. When pizza deliveries went up at the Pentagon, it was obvious that some important planning was keeping the staff busy at their desks.
You know, you tell the Domino delivery drivers not to come in the same entrance every time, or to come, you know, one at a time. Or maybe you don't call Domino's. Maybe you figure out some other way. Maybe you say, you know what, maybe we'll have the Pentagon put in a ton of pizza ovens so we can do it ourselves and we don't have people tracking who comes here. Lots of different things that you can do. But the bottom line is you have to first assess the threat. And that's probably the toughest thing.
These indicators were recognized and corrected using OPSEC. OPSEC, like leaving a light on when you leave the house, is a good idea all the time.